Welcome back to Mystery Files, where we tell true crime stories that are very twisted. We tell mysterious stories that'll get your heart racing, and paranormal stories that you would never believe. Yes, so whether you're new or you've been here for a while, please do me just one favor throughout this whole thing. Make sure to hit that like button. If we get up to 70 likes on this video, then I will give you guys a bonus video this week and every week. Okay, and like I always say, make sure to find the hidden clue, whether it's a like button, a Jason mask, something throughout this story. It'll be a tiny clue. Put what it is with the timestamp in the comments to be entered into the giveaway. And that brings me to the great news that I'm about to announce right now. Today, I am announcing, finally, the giveaway winner. And it was so hard to go through all the people that have got the clue right, but I did it anyway, just for you guys. And I was very pumped when I saw this person's name, because I believe they're in the Patreon, or if not the Patreon, they're in the Discord, right? So if you're not in the Discord or the Patreon, make sure to join right now. Link in description. But Kim, yes, you know who you are, Kim Walsh. I hope I said that right. You know I love you, Kim. You have won the giveaway. So make sure to contact me in the Discord, and everybody just give Kim a round of applause. She nailed it multiple times, and she has actually guessed a lot of the clues, and she just comments some of the craziest stuff that you see in the screen sometimes that I don't even see. So Kim, well done. Okay, so as of now, if you want to be entered into the next giveaway, start trying to find those clues. And today, I got a head scratcher for you guys. In fact, when I read it, I was like, there's no way. And I only read it 8 hours ago. I did this story preemptive today just because I wanted to give you guys something extra. Yes, for those who know, I usually upload Friday. It used to be at midnight. Now we're more around 4 or 5 p.m. But I'm thinking I might come to, upload twice a week. Let me know in the comments if that's something that you would like, or if you just want me to keep it to once a week. Okay, that's enough of this and that and the other. As of now, it's time to slip into a mind that's not our own. Let's go. On a dark September evening in 2008, the tranquility of this tiny Swedish village of Loftahammar, I hope I said that right, was absolutely shattered. Agneta Westlund, who for this story will be called Agnes Westlund, was a 68-year-old local woman who lived right by this beautiful huge lake in Loftahammar, and she set out for her usual evening walk near the forest lake, unaware that this could potentially be her last stroll in the park ever. Okay, so Agnes, known for her routine and for love of nature, had this predictable path that she would always follow, a path that she had taken many times before. However, that night something went terribly wrong, and as night fell, Agnes's husband, Ingemar, I hope I said that right again, he began to worry, because Agnes had never been out this late at all. So Ingemar, he ended up venturing out into the blistering cold, calling her name into the growing darkness everywhere to try to find her. And his heart was just pounding with this inexplicable dread, almost as if he could feel something negative in his bones. And after a quick frantic search, Ingemar's worst fears were realized, because he found right there, laying down, Agnes's lifeless body, lying in the snow on the forest edge. Her head and body had been just brutally battered. So at this point, panic-stricken, he really had no idea what to do other than pick up the telephone and call the police. And when the police finally arrived, the scene was very grim. You see, because Agnes's injuries were severe and clearly the result of a violent attack. Ingemar at that moment was trembling and grief-stricken, and he tried to explain what he had found. But the officers right away were very, very skeptical. After all, there wasn't another soul in sight. This remote location and the severity of the assault pointed to one single suspect, Ingemar himself. And then the news of Agnes's murder shocked this small village of Loftahammar to its true core. And as the police began their investigation, they turned their attention to Agnes's husband, Ingemar. I mean, he was the last person to see her alive, and he was the one to find her dead body. It seemed kind of like an open and shut case. But as Ingemar was taken into custody for questioning, the villagers' suspicions grew. They couldn't believe that someone they had known for all of these years could possibly do such a heinous act. But as more details emerged, or lack thereof, of the attack, these doubts began to surface throughout the town, because Agnes's injuries were consistent with a crime of passion. The intensity and brutality suggested that it wasn't someone that she didn't know, but it was someone she deeply knew that had committed this crime. And who better than that than her own husband himself? And it was just like that. In a matter of days, the rumors started spreading in every direction, painting Ingemar as a violent and jealous man who couldn't handle his wife's independence and love for nature. And the once tight-knit community was now divided, with some supporting Ingemar's innocence, but the majority of others absolutely believed he was guilty. Meanwhile, that all of this is going on around him, Ingemar maintained that he was innocent, and he tried to convince the police of his innocence. But with little evidence pointing towards any other suspect, it seemed like all fingers were pointed at him. In this once peaceful village became a place filled with fear and mistrust towards one of their own. So at this point, as Ingemar sat in jail awaiting his trial, he couldn't help but wonder, is there any possible way he would be able to clear his name and prove his innocence? Because from the outside point of view, Ingemar's claims of finding her body seemed, convenient at best. And of course, as days turned into weeks, the media sensationalized the story, painting Ingemar as a cold-hearted killer who had turned on his beloved wife. Yet, the case against Ingemar, as you could imagine, was largely circumstantial, because there were no witnesses, no murder weapon, and most critically, no forensic evidence tying him directly to the murder. So after 10 agonizing days in custody, and with the lack of any hard evidence, Ingemar was finally released. But his release did not equate to exoneration in the eyes of the villagers or the police. And he still remained the prime suspect. I mean, his life was absolutely just turned upside down. Neighbors would shun him, and he was forced to move out of his home, haunted by the stigma of being a presumed murderer. And then months passed with no leads at all, and the case seemed to kind of be getting cold, destined to remain this unsolved tragedy, until the forensic analysis of Agnes's body was completed. The results were nothing short of mind-boggling and astonishing. Found on Agnes's body were hairs and traces of saliva that did not belong to any human being at all. But it belonged to a European elk, commonly known as a moose. And Ingemar, he couldn't believe what he was hearing when the forensic experts presented their findings to him. It was like something straight out of a horror movie. His wife, who he had loved so deeply, was killed by a wild animal? Why? How? But as unbelievable as it sounded, the evidence was actually there to back it up. The hairs and the saliva that were found on Agnes's body were undoubtedly from a moose. But then further investigation supported actually this bizarre conclusion. Experts explained that while rare, moose attacks on humans are not unheard of, especially when the animal is completely drunk from eating fermented fruit, which is also how we make alcohol. Yes, this moose was literally moosed out of its mind. And when mooses get drunk, their behavior can make them unusually aggressive and very unpredictable. So it was at that point that the authorities formally closed the case, and Ingemar finally was fully exonerated. However, the damage to his life and his reputation had been immense. The theory of that dreaded night put forth by the experts was that while Agnes had been walking, she encountered this agitated moose while out on her walk, and then by it she had been attacked and killed. The injuries on her body were actually consistent with those caused by a large animal's hooves. Hooves? Let me know in the comments. And as surreal as it seemed, Ingemar did feel some sort of relief, knowing that he had not, of course, caused his wife's death. But at the same time, he couldn't help but feel guilty for not being there to protect her from this wild animal when she needed him. And once again, the media quickly picked up on the new development in the case, and suddenly Ingemar went from being a cold-blooded killer to a grieving husband whose wife had fallen victim to a tragic accident. But for Ingemar said the damage had already been done. He had lost his wife, he had lost his home, and his reputation, friends, everything, all because of these accusations. And no amount of I'm sorry or apologies or exoneration could change what he had been through. And despite everything, Ingemar tried his best to move forward with his life. And he actually found solace in nature, just like Agnes. And he ended up taking these long walks in the forest every day, right where she would walk. But deep down inside, he would always carry that weight of what happened to Agnes without him. And no matter how much time passed or what anybody said, nothing could ever truly take away the pain of losing her in such a tragic way. The tragic death of Mrs. Westlund and the wrongful accusation of her husband highlight the unpredictable nature of both human and animal behavior. And it reminds us that there is a very thin line between normalcy and chaos, and how sometimes the truth can literally be stranger than fiction. Well, that's the surprise drop I got for you guys on this Tuesday. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to click that like button. But if you're in the mood for something else, something, maybe a little more suspenseful and tense, make sure to click right here, because this one is an absolute barn burner. I love you guys, and I'll see you in a couple days. Cheers.